Welcome back, Duelists. Casual Duelist here, and this is going to be the combos video for the Gravekeeper deck I just profiled. So I'm a little new to doing this. I've already got some cards separated. I just did that so you guys sort of got to look at the deck again, but without really seeing through it. I already pulled all the cards I'm actually going to use out of the stack already, so bear with me. I'm not exactly sure how I want to do these moving forward, but there are quite a few combos within the deck. And one of the major combos is just going for Headman with any other one of your Gravekeepers already in discard will allow us to generate the Predaplant Verde Anaconda. And again, Predaplant Verde Anaconda will allow us to always use the Red Eyes Fusion. And then we'll be able to develop Dragoon. So it's one of the most straightforward combinations. Again, you don't have to go just to the Anaconda, but this does really make like a mid-game or very early game a one-card combination all the way into a powerhouse negate monster. So there is that, and then again, those 5 cards are really just what you need to do there. Another great use for Headman would be recycling cards like Spiritualist, because again, we do try to use like the Royal Tribute. We want to use the Royal Tribute quite often. Again, this is going to eliminate our opponent from utilizing too many hand traps on us. It's very hard to stun a player if you don't have a hand. And again, we want to try to like combo and control. There's not really a loop per se for this deck. And one of the reasons that you definitely want to get Spiritualist back on board is, again, we can create the Supernaturalist. Now with Supernaturalist, again, there is a power bonus based on the original star levels times 100 for the characters used to make him. And in this case, that'd be 700. Add the extra 5 from the field spell. It gives you a 1200. It still puts it at 3200, which is pretty good boss-wise. But there are other ways to compound this. And again, this being my friend's deck, one of his favorite methods was Oracle. Let's find Oracle real quick. And again, this is just because this guy having 10 stars immediately is, again, going to be 14 stars worth of characters. So that's 1,400, 1,900 when you add the field spell. And again, 1,900 onto the 2,000 of the Supernaturalist. Again, this is going to put it just below Obelisk the Tormentor's stat at 4,000. And again, even though they're just Gravekeepers, like that's still fairly aggressive. And the one way to count that as more power would be through Necrovalley Temple. So again, we're obviously going to have a Gravekeeper's character. And for this instance, we had to have had the field spell itself as well. So while we're gaining our power bonus, our opponent's actually experiencing a loss equal to our power gains. And then we're creating an extra 500 points of indifference or difference. And because of that, you don't really get to count that as an increase on your side so much as it is a decrease, but it would be another change of 500, meaning that we could change the Supernaturalist and effectively over double it. So that's pretty cool. But Supernaturalist isn't the only, it's not only just a beat stick. Another thing that we're really going to be doing with the Supernaturalist is it's a tutor. Now, we have to designate what we want before the end phase, and we only get the card at the end phase. So it's not so much that we're going to be able to just stack our counter traps, our Imperial Tombs or anything, so much as you want to try to set up for the next round. And again, we would be able to pull back a monster from the discard pile, I want to say. Turn in, phase out a Gravekeeper monster or Necrovalley from deck to hand. So no. But you would be able to grab another Headman from your deck. Or, you know, insert a Necrovalley Throne again, allowing you to further the next turn's play and try to figure out what you want to do. And again, with Spiritualist, one more thing before we get off of Spiritualist. I'm not sure if I've already separated it. It was the Quintet Magician, and it's just sitting right here. Another great thing that this guy can do, if we can create a character out of 5 spellcasters, and again, Spiritualist with Valley means that we can use materials from the field in hand to generate the characters. The Quintet Magician, if they are different names, we get to destroy the entire opponent's side of the field. Beautiful. But more importantly, it cannot be tributed, so kaijus can't affect it. Cannot be used as fusion material, so we're not going to get snapped up in a super poly with Starving Venom Fusion Dragon or something like that. And it cannot be destroyed by card effects. So it's got a lot of cool things going for it. And those last 3 things are just generic all the time. We get the destruction if and only if it's 5 different named spellcasters. And again, with Spiritualist and Supernaturalist and being able to even activate cards like Gravekeeper Steel to add back targeted Gravekeepers from the graveyard to the hand, this is actually very possible. It's just not very probable that you will go to this character. This is part of like the whole, we like to build decks on our team for the casual players to have the fun. Not everything needs to be 100% competitive all the time. And if that's what you're after, there are plenty of players way better than me that you guys could be watching. And I think that you guys enjoy it when we play some crazy fun cards too. So that's cool. One more thing about Headman before I forget that I have him. One thing that Headman does rather well, he will also allow us to link climb. And since he will allow us to link climb, it means that we can really use cards like IP Masquerena and still do more link climbing during the opponent's turn. And again, that's just great. In general, we do have a lot of 4-star characters, and I did have a couple spaces in the extra deck. Now, again, you could add other links, or you could add more whatever you want, or you could choose to play other Xyz that might be more like Tornado Dragon for back row contention, Exiton Knight for when you get falling behind. Baguska is a great play. I chose this one. We're already doing a lot of control aspect with the deck, and I really wanted you guys to be able to just go ahead and use Lightning. So obviously the combo is you just play any 2 4-stars, and that's pretty easy to do, especially once you start utilizing cards like the Rite of Spirit. And again, that's just a trap card version of like Monster Reborn for Necrovalley. So it allows you to bring back your Gravekeepers even though the Valley's up. And it's just unaffected by it. So you just stack your 2 4s, create your character. And again, it doesn't matter which 2. It could be Commandant and Assailant, whatever. Stack them, go to your Utopia. Then, because of S39's effect, you're able to stack this on top of a Utopia monster. And then as long as it has a Utopia's Xyz material when in combat with something, let's say this Commandant here, when it checks, okay, there's Utopia Xyz monster as material. We can pitch 2 cards, and now we'll double over to 5k for that combat. And it's only because we're facing a monster. If it's a direct attack, that's going to be a no-go. You'll just keep your materials if that was direct. And either way, direct or monster on monster, when this character attacks, the opponent is unable to activate cards and effects until the end of the damage step. So again, I equated this to the Ancient Gear cards because, again, they were kind of the first to do this. And I still like them. Utopia Lightning was reprinted pretty recently in Battle of Legends Armageddon. And had been printed a few times before that. And Utopia's had many, many printings. So these are fairly easier to get a hold of now than they would have been 5 years ago. Again, A lot of my favorite things come from the field spell and just the fact that we're able to do this however we want. Remember, Throne can grab any one of our monsters, but in addition, Throne can grab Commandant, Commandant can grab Valley. So either way you look at it, I played a 3, a 2, and a 3 for Throne. I had 8 cards that are essentially all Necrovalley. So that's 1 in every 5 cards of the deck, I want to say. And what you do with the Necrovalley is simple. First off, it's going to give you the 500 power bonus. Secondly, nobody can banish cards in the graveyards, which is fantastic. So if we look at the control aspect from here, just saying that you can't activate anything that's needs to be banished, takes a lot of good cards out of the game. And if you guys were watching our more recent structure deck profile, the Winds of the Ice Barrier, or Winds over the Ice Barrier spell, had a great effect, but you had to be able to remove it. And it's not the only deck that has a card like that, where that just isn't going to be an issue as long as you have Necrovalley. So right there's a lot of control. And since they can't banish, decks like Chaos can't even get up off the ground until they deal with your field spell, which is going to happen, should be first turn every game. Additionally, it will stop card effects that would move cards in the graveyard other than themselves to a different place. So let me give you an example, like Treeborn Frog. Let's say this is my opponent's. I don't have a back row. I don't have my own field spell. I have a Treeborn Frog in the discard pile. It can summon itself back. It can. But I cannot use Monster Reborn to bring it back. And that's about the best example I've got for you. So it does really shuts down a lot of the graveyard effects in the game, but not things that resolve there. So that is that. In addition, it creates some fun combinations. Again, when you have the Temple. Now, as long as you have a monster as well, doesn't matter who. Let's just grab Descendant real quick because he's right there. This will mean that my Descendant, or whichever Gravekeeper you want, has 1,000 points of bonus, and because these both exist, this is now going to start deducting 500 from the opponent. Now, if this does get destroyed, let's say they had that Twin Twisters, whatever, they didn't target this because it was face down or whatever nonsense. What would happen now is, if it's during the main phase, you would then be able to activate this effect and then play another Necrovalley. And again, that's going to be from the deck or the hand. No, hand or graveyard. So again, the same Necrovalley can just keep bouncing back and forth. Additionally, if this card would get destroyed, then you get to set a Necrovalley spell Trap. So you can set the field spell. You just can't set another Temple. Another one of my favorite Necrovalley cards would be the Hidden Temples. Now, Hidden Temples is like the regular Temple in that we need the field spell and the monster. And if at any point either one of these is disrupted, this card will be destroyed and it'll just go straight away. So what you're going to want to do here is when you play this, neither player can special summon monsters anymore except Gravekeepers. So for the most part, I try to summon Dragoon before this point. Obviously, I don't want to shut out one of the most powerful cards in the game and one of my best options to keep my opponent under control once I've got them there. And again, you have to come for this card in order to go ahead and break stuff. So another great card that we could have placed in the extra deck. Again, if maybe you didn't like the Utopias, which is totally fine, play Barricade Board Blocker, and that would have actually been amazing. If you don't have Dragoon, there's immediate spots right there. You probably didn't need the... Let me just go through my extra deck again one more time. You maybe didn't need 3 Supernaturalists. That could have been a Barricade Board Blocker between Apollosa or Boral Sword. Nightmare Cerberus would probably be my actual choice, though. for myself of who I would take out for the barricade board blocker. Holy crud. And again, this will protect all my continuous or face-up spell traps and make them a lot harder to destroy. And then with Supernaturalist, further defending your field spell. It sets up a lot of layers of control. Additionally, then you also have the Imperial Tombs. Between this and Solemn Strike, you really have all the different types of counters available to you. You're going to be able to counter monster effects, special summons, spell activation, trap activation. The best part is, much like every other Necrovalley card, you just need the field spell and any one of the Gravekeeper monsters. And then, of course, my favorite thing, again, just talk about Royal Tribute again real quick. As long as you have steel still in your hand, you will be able to regenerate any monster that you accidentally throw that you wanted to keep. And again, we limited steel to a single copy for this build. And it was for no other reason than we were already at 41 cards. I really couldn't think of anything I wanted to take out. Again, if you're just trying to budget, technically you wouldn't be playing Dragoon. So on a budget instance, you have the extra spaces in your extra deck because you don't have the Verde Anaconda or the Dragoon. So right there's a barricade board blocker and a card of your choice. And in the main deck, we just take one card out because we don't need it. And then we take out the Dark Magician and the Red Eyes, and you could put another Steel in there if you wanted. Another Allure, you could put in Upstart Goblin if you like. You just have fun with it, guys. I think I'm going to cut it right about here. I think that's really all like the different types of setup and everything. I'm not going to do test hands. Every time I do test hands, I draw terribly. It's just a lot easier to just calmly explain this kind of thing. And this deck insists a lot on itself. And I just mean that in the sense that you really need to have a board set up and you need to protect your board. And one of the best things that you could do with the Gravekeepers right now is an absolute control. Because if your opponent can't special summon, then right there, that's most of the game. And if they don't have a hand and they don't have hand traps, they really don't have any way to stop you from doing something. And if you have shut down the discard pile, you really have more control over the game than just any of these like $100, $200 decks. The Dragoon was just really just for fun. We enjoy playing it. And obviously, if you have the option to play a great card, you should really do it. There's no such thing as like, that card's dishonorable or that card's not fair. If the card was unfair, the people at Konami R&D would have done something about it with our most recent ban list. They didn't, so it must be fine. There's probably just some strategy that they're getting ready to ramp up so that they could sell some more cards, or we just haven't figured out how to counter it. So that job really falls on us, the players. If anybody actually waited through this whole thing, thank you. I love the fact that you guys watched this. If this helps, let me know. And if you guys want more of these, let me know. I'll be happy to do them. Probably not for Speed Duel, just the master game. But that's up for debate too. I got to go do some more stuff. I got some decks that we got to get made. There's a Speed Duel Dinosaur Ultra Evolution Pill request that I'd like to get done before Tuesday. So I got to get in a little bit of play testing. I get work. I'm not sure that if this was released on Sunday or Monday yet. Still filming stuff. So I will see you guys on the next video. Just do me one favor. You guys have a great day. All right, later.